I stood in front of the mirror this morning, naked, and stared at myself and thought, who the hell am I? What am I doing on this planet? I think of myself as a physical, fixed being. I am here. That's who I am. I am full of energy and curiosity. I can do anything, anytime, to anybody. But what this book told me is that that's complete nonsense. And this is very depressing. I am not a person with free will. I'm actually a deeply boring human being. You would hope that you are not predictable at all. In fact, you are 93% predictable in what you do, where you go, who you do it with. 93% boring. That's who we are. Why are we boring? We are boring because we exist in stable social networks. We exist in a spider's web of networks that fixes us at a particular place at a particular time. And that existential realization, though it is incredibly depressing, could be remarkably liberating, because it has huge power to help us understand and manipulate phenomena that we feel trapped in. The invented H1N1 pandemic that we have all been suckered into for the past 12 months. One of the key aspects to dealing with a pandemic is to understand the importance of the network. That we need to destroy the network if we are to survive a species-threatening pandemic. We call it social distancing. We keep ourselves away from one another. We put masks on. We keep our children out of school. We isolate ourselves in our homes. But that doesn't just happen with the smallest particles in life, viruses. It happens to nations. I was in Greece last week for half term. My God, Greece is falling around us. There were riots in the streets, bombs going off in banks. If Greece falls, will Portugal fall? Will Spain fall? Will Ireland fall? Will Italy fall? We are out of the euro, but those within the euro network, are they doomed if one falls? That domino effect that you saw Nicholas show in his slides. So this idea of networks helps us to understand phenomenon that we may not understand at face value. Why was it that we had this incredible vaccine scare with MMR? How come one pathetic little paper in a medical journal and one crazy individual who then waged this campaign against the vaccine turned on all the mothers in North London? What happened? Why did that network propagate in the way that it did? Why have some people become incredibly frightened of GM foods? Why do we see epidemics of alcohol misuse? Using networks to study these phenomena is possibly the only way we will get to understand what seem like completely irrational behaviors. Because they are not irrational, they're deeply rational, depending upon the frame of reference you use. But also the idea of a network provides immense opportunities. Because one of the ideas that flows from studying networks is the whole phenomenon of cooperation. And if you look at the journals over the last 3 or 4 years, there's this new science of cooperation that has emerged, an immensely powerful science to understand why it is that we help one another, why there is reciprocity between human beings, why we're not actually out to destroy one another, one species destroying another species, individuals within a species trying to destroy individuals in another species. That actually cooperation is a fundamental property of who we are and is reflected in the networks we create. Does it actually matter in policy terms? Yes, it does. Let's take the MMR example. People who are working incredibly hard to get vaccines taken up in communities, and networks of families, parents who are working incredibly hard to stop vaccines being taken up. Two networks opposed, mutually exclusive. By understanding that it's the network that is propagating and fostering these two exclusive sets of beliefs, how can we bring these networks together? How can we promote a kind of public reasoning that forces networks to collide in ways that they would normally not collide? We're going through this financial squeeze. £600 million has been taken out of universities. The NHS is going to see swinging cuts no matter what party gets into power. We're going to have to do more with less. How do we do more with less? We have to find new ways of collaborating, of cooperating. We need to create new networks in many institutions, whether it's universities, schools, hospitals, clinics, different professional groups, different parts of the country. Networks offer the opportunity to dig us out of an incredibly tough financial predicament we are facing, and it's going to get worse. And then finally, in the realm of foreign policy, how can we, in this age of terrorism, in this age of conflict, promote better understanding between cultures? Is it something that's at a macro level, between nations, the G20, the G8, or the G2? Is it about that kind of high-level political dialogue? No, because what cooperation theory shows is it's not about trying to put billions of people next to other billions of people. It's about the intimate connections that we have with one another. It is about creating that sense of intimacy between an individual in a country thousands of miles away who is exactly like you and I, who has exactly the same worries and fears about their life and their family's life, and bringing that person close together. We see it with child sponsorship schemes that ActionAid and other organisations do, but that idea is proven by the mathematics of cooperation theory. It has immense power in releasing a new age of altruism in global society. Cooperation has been called the third law of evolution. Evolution is not just about mutation and natural selection. It's about cooperation. It is about species, when they are faced with a threatened predicament, coming together and finding a way out of it together. The most successful species on the planet, including us, are successful because of cooperation, because we have found a way to use networks between us to create realistic possibilities for our future. So, I may be having a midlife crisis by taking this book around with me, but my God, what a midlife crisis to have. Thanks.